And the investigation is underway after yesterday's tragic helicopter crash in New York. A family of 5 visiting from Spain were among the victims killed when their sightseeing chopper fell from the sky into the Hudson River. The pilot of the aircraft was also killed. Steve Cowell is an aviation expert and teaches aviation safety and security at the University of Southern California. He's also a member of the International Society of Air Safety Investigators. Steve, thank you so much for joining us. But before we start, let's take a look at the crash video. It really is chilling. It appears to show that this helicopter lost the back of its tail rotor and tumbling out of the sky. Not something people maybe have ever seen. From that video, what stands out to you?
Well, first and foremost, in-flight breakups of any aircraft of any type is extremely rare. And so it calls into question, the type of maintenance that this helicopter had recently undergone.
And is this likely, do you think, going to end up being a mechanical maintenance issue, or is it possible that a helicopter pilot can fly the aircraft in such a way to cause it to break apart like that?
Well, I'd find it very, I doubt that the helicopter pilot had flown this aircraft in such a way that the G-forces involved would go ahead and create an in-flight breakup. These tour operators are very careful. They want to give people a very nice ride. They want to make it a very pleasant experience. So it's highly doubtful that that took place.
Do you think then, if it is a maintenance issue, what would explain how something like this would happen? Is it a matter of when the helicopter is in pieces, taken apart, it's not put back together in such a way? It just seems so unusual to have something like this where you have an aircraft that's unable to operate when so many of these helicopters are in the sky every day.
Extremely unusual. And the helicopters undergo periodic maintenance, especially in commercial service. So they're required to be inspected virtually every single day. And they're not completely taken apart each day, but only on an annual inspection.
Do you think that the tour company itself is going to be part of the investigation? Obviously, the National Transportation Safety Board, they're going to be on site, they're going to be looking at the physical evidence, but does an investigation like that also then look into what we know about this tour company and maybe what their processes were for making sure the helicopters were safe to fly?
Yes, the NTSB has a very extensive checklist of items and personnel that they'll go through. They'll go through every maintenance record, not just on this helicopter, but on their other helicopters. They'll go through the qualifications of everybody involved with the maintenance, and they will also be looking into the financials of the company operating this helicopter. When you go into the financial... Oh, I'm sorry. When you go into the financials, what you're really looking for is, if the company, in fact, was in trouble financially, was anything skipped? Anything that maybe, maybe something wasn't done on a regular basis that should have been done on a regular basis because the company didn't have the money to pay for it. They're going to be looking at that.
Yeah, we're also taking a look at this New York Times reporting now saying that this company involved had a prior history of mechanical failures, something that I'm sure will also be part of an investigation like this.
Absolutely. Every single FAA report that's ever been written on this company, is going to be heavily scrutinized. So we won't know for about a year, but no stone will be left unturned in determining the causation of this accident.
Steve, my understanding is that helicopters like this are not required to have black boxes. The flight data recorders and cockpit voice recorders that we know are on commercial aircraft. What do you think about that? Is that going to end up being an issue here, do you think, for investigators?
It certainly complicates the investigation, but we have video. We have this video that we've looked at, And the NTSB is going to be seeking out other videos, to help determine the cause. But it's not going to be that detrimental to the accident investigation in this circumstance.
This is obviously a very busy airspace around New York City. A number of helicopters have had accidents over the years in that exact area. But in this case, do you think that the amount of air traffic would have played any sort of role here?
No, I do not. The tour operators are well coordinated. The airspace is very well coordinated. The controlling agencies are used to the amount of traffic that is, moving around New York City. So I don't believe that air traffic control was a factor in this accident at all.
And any issues, do you think, with this particular helicopter, or this type of helicopter? Because we know the NTSB is always taking a broad look at, are there lessons from this particular accident that might apply across the board? Any reason to think that this Bell helicopter has some sort of issue beyond just perhaps this particular tragic incident?
One of the things the NTSB is going to be doing is they're going to be pulling up any safety reports, any issues that have been ongoing with not only this helicopter, but with every Bell 206 helicopter. They're going to look for any patterns, and they're going to be notifying and working in coordination with the FAA. If there's any sort of a pattern, an advisory circular, maybe even an emergency advisory circular will be issued. But, this particular helicopter, very popular, ordinarily very, very safe, and has been used in medical transport, tour operations, and has been used, privately for many, many years.
Which makes this all the more confounding as to what might have happened. I was also just curious, as you take a look at all of this and that video, do you think, Steve, that anything could have been done to save that helicopter once it had lost its tail rotor like that?
No, it's very, very difficult. Once you lose the tail rotor, you really lose any sort of directional control of the helicopter and any sort of, balance as far as that's concerned. In addition, the main rotor departed from the aircraft as well. If you look closely on one of the videos, you'll see the main rotor leaving the body of the aircraft. So, there was really nothing that could have been done.
Truly a catastrophic failure in the sky there in New York City. Aviation expert Steve Cowell, thank you so much for joining us with your insights.